So hello guys, welcome back to WezLife. This is episode 9 now, and joined with my friend Chris Herwig.
Hello, thank you Wes for letting me on. This is
Chris fine. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit of what I've been doing recently. So I know because we've had a load of guests on recently. I haven't followed the WezLife routine at all, so I don't. But Chris, you live in Oxford.
Yeah, I'm currently living in Oxford, as I'm reminded. Not from there, but living there.
You're originally from the
I'm
north.
originally from the north, which is surprising. A lot of people here don't even know the north exists, pretty much. Well, they do, but yeah. And I'm from the north, from Liverpool, and I'm now in Oxford.
I made the trip up to Oxford. So we're currently recording this in Oxford right now. Trip down to Oxford. Trip down. I always get mixed up with that all the time.
Up and down. Yeah.
You want to get that right?
Down. Quite boring.
I've been trying my best actually recently.
How'd you play games? You don't know.
Not my best.
Right. Fair.
But I was actually explaining to Chris earlier that the train I got, because it was hands down the worst train journey I've ever been on in my life. So I got on at Wigan, had to switch over at Wolverhampton, and then
that's a pretty bad journey. Wolverhampton. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was Wolverhampton. It stopped off at Birmingham, whatever. There's two.
Birmingham New Street and Birmingham.
Is it International?
I think there might be an international one. Yeah,
something like that. But there's two Birmingham and then some other places. But I just sat down in the seat and I didn't even know that it was reserved in any way. But so I was just like, oh flip it, I'll just sit here because it was so busy. And when we got to Birmingham, it was 10 times worse. Just ridiculously busy. Loads of people got on. And I was already sat in this seat at this point. And then this old man just, he was walking by and he went, "This is crap! You're in my seat!" I was like, "What the heck, mate?" I was like, "Sorry, I didn't know it was reserved." And he's like, "You're just shouting and everything, getting angry."
So you've got this old man just full on shouting at you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's his word, and he just went, "This is crap!" And he just flipped his arms up. I was like,
did you shout back at him? What are you saying?
No, I went, "Sorry, mate, I didn't know it was a reserved seat."
Right.
And then I stood up with the other 15 people that were stood up.
Okay.
And then we went along then, but he was reading his newspaper, and then a few minutes later he just went, "Anybody want a newspaper? I want a newspaper."
What type of newspaper was it? I thought
The Times.
The Times. Oh, okay. Eyebrow.
Nobody wanted it though, and then this woman took it off him and was like, "Anybody want a newspaper?"
Right.
Nobody wanted it.
Was he in a Birmingham accent? Can you do Birmingham accent?
I can't know, but she was probably from Birmingham.
Anybody wants a newspaper?
It was funny though, but I was just stood there. I just felt like a right idiot because I was stood up for the majority of the journey to Oxford then. And with my rucksack too.
For context, your rucksack is pretty heavy.
Yeah, I thought bring my laptop and everything too. So yeah, and it's heavy.
A lot of bricks. By the looks of it, it's quite heavy.
But made it, and then I was wandering around Oxford. Went into Costa, but then it was just a massive queue, so I ended up going to Waterstones Cafe.
Yeah,
and it was nice in there. Just chilled out for a bit. But yeah, now we're together, and we're filming this podcast, obviously.
Of course. Yeah. I find Oxford people, so in context, Wes has just eaten some food at the college. Did you like the food?
Oh yeah, it was nice food actually, yeah.
But the people on our table, Southern.
They were all Southerners, so whenever I come down south, I always love just when someone says "Oh, where are you from?" I'm just the north.
Yeah,
from the north.
You literally were
I just love it.
But one of them had never heard of the Beatles.
Yeah, he'd never heard of the Beatles. It's just stupid.
I've had people trying to pretend to be part Northern in Oxford to me. So I had one person who came up to me and said, "My cat is from Liverpool."
Oh,
and another one say, "I have a great uncle who once lived in Warrington." And genuine attempts to try and be Scousers.
Warrington's close by to me.
So. Yeah, well, they thought Warrington was a suburb of Manchester, which, yeah, it's
no.
Basically. But yeah, you get a lot of Southerners who try and be Northern. You might be.
Really?
They genuinely do. The cat is a real story, as is the other one.
I wouldn't like to be Southern though.
I wouldn't like to be Southern either.
Well,
I guess someone's got to live there though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're doing us a favour by allowing us to be in the north.
Yeah. And it's
So-
kind of one of those things, you need
Yeah.
need one thing to know what the other's like. Like you need southern to know how good northern is.
Yeah, it's like you need
You need a yin for your yang.
yeah, like salt and pepper.
Yeah, exactly like that. A
Well,
whistle.
Maybe, yeah. Salt is better than pepper.
Yeah, 100%.
That makes us look so like big-headed.
Yeah.
But
To any southerners there, we don't think it's your fault.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you've obviously lived in Oxford for a few weeks now. Overall, would you say you like it here, or do you want to go back for the next?
That's hard.
Yeah.
Well, it's not, but I've got to make it sound like it's hard for politeness. I do like Oxford. I like the church group here. It is very picturesque.
It is nice, yeah.
It is picturesque.
And like other.
It's a good laugh as well, always.
Yeah.
But Oxford is different, particularly in the like uni setting where everyone's a bit weird. Not weird. Not everyone.
No, I know.
Some are normal, some are nice.
Yeah.
But a lot of people kind of have one obsession that drives them.
It's similar to like other, well, is it, like these big unis like Cambridge or.
Yeah.
Did you find it in Durham? Because you went to Durham.
Durham was more normal. Durham was more sports centre. It's a bit more like Loughborough. But because we actually had an autistic lecturer today, and he was talking about autism, and he said that Oxford has a higher amount of autistic people than anywhere else in the UK, or one of the highest, if not. So
I've heard a lot of like people talk about Oxford though and say like, oh, it's the highest. Blah blah blah. Like, I've heard people say like, "Oh, it's the highest atheistic town," and stuff like that. But
we get a lot of that. I mean, I don't think it is. My experience actually is it's one of the highest Christian populations.
Well, I've heard that a lot, but I've also found that there's a lot of agnostics too.
Yeah. So I mean, Richard Dawkins, he actually lives next door to where I study. So we do have the big name atheists around here. But
I'm
allowed to say his name.
Richard Dawkins.
Yeah,
because I don't.
Okay.
Basically, before we were filming this, I said let's try and not name drop people we know.
Yeah.
So Richard Dawkins, he doesn't know me.
Right. Okay. Okay, so we can name drop them if they're big.
Yeah, we can hate on him. Like, I'm joking.
But anyway,
Richard's a joke.
Richard Dawkins is here, so we have some big atheist names. But actually, I find that there are as many Christians as anywhere in Oxford as anywhere else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah. So, I did say to you like how I want to try and get as much Christian kind of input with this podcast, and so I have shared my testimony on how I became a Christian, and you have agreed to share yours. So,
yeah,
would you be all right to do that now? Like you don't.
I'll tell you what
you
we'll
don't
do.
have to go in like full detail. Or...
You can ask any 5 questions.
5 questions.
Any 5 questions you want to ask.
All right.
Well, I might no comments on, but I'll try and answer them. I will answer them if they're all right.
I'll just ask the question. How did you become a Christian?
That's quite a broad question. Okay, so I was brought up in a good family, Roman Catholic family, and they taught me there was God. They taught me that I'd done wrong things, and I knew that. I knew that I did wrong things repetitively, and I chose to do bad things, such as lie, for instance, but others as well. And I remember in the Roman Catholic faith, we were told that if we get confession from a priest, we'll be forgiven. So we have our first confession, and that was a day when I was about 8 or 9. We went to Liverpool Football Club just beforehand, went around Anfield with all the cousins, and we brought to this church. And the priest gets us all up one by one, and he asks us to list off all the things that we've done that are wrong, and we'll be forgiven of them if we list them off. So anyway, gets to my turn. I stand up, I walk forward to this priest. It's not actually a priest, it's the Bishop of Liverpool. And I was speaking to him. I started listing them off. I list off 1 thing, 2 thing, 3 thing, got up to 6. And then he went, that's enough. Down you go. And I thought, I've got so many more things that I haven't confessed to. And I just thought religion was a sham, basically. because even if it was right, I wasn't right then with God.
Mm.
And after that, I kind of decided to do whatever my mates were doing, live that way till I was about 13. And then a friend of mine, Ben Oxford, became a Christian. And his life completely changed. Oh, sorry, I'm not meant to name drop. But anyway, sorry, Ben.
Well, Ben, don't worry, we'll contact you beforehand to see if it's okay when your name in it.
His life changed in school, I would say. And he started telling me a bit about Christianity. And he'd already invited me along to events. And I started to go along to them. And one event he invited me along to, in fact, I've been going along to one of them even before that date. But one event he invited me along to was a week. And it was a week on a summer camp with EMW in Pentranet.
We actually went on an EMW camp this year, didn't we?
We did.
As
It was
leaders.
Funny. We got a lot of stories from that.
Yeah,
Have you covered any of them?
No, but maybe we could talk about someone. Maybe
keep listening, and you'll get some great stories at the end. But
that was so cheesy.
Yeah, I'm born to this. EMW, I'm really not. We were doing an EMW camp anyway, and you get given pocket money. And there's two options. You can either buy sweets, which is actually what you did this summer.
Yeah.
Or you can buy books, which is what I actually sold this summer.
I didn't buy the sweets. I was in charge of selling the sweets.
Sorry, this is correct. Yeah, we sold them both. But the sweets were rubbish. So I ended up buying a load of Christian books. I'm not a Christian at this point. And then I play volleyball with a water balloon. And somebody breaks my arm. Mention no names. And we know the person, and I've been on a lot of teams with the person. But they broke my arm, which was a complete accident. And effectively...
And he does feel bad to this day.
He cried first time I met him.
You know who
and
he's
a big guy, yeah.
If you watch.
I forgive you.
Many times.
But what happened there was I wasn't able to do any sport, any outdoor activities, and I had a load of Christian books to read. So I started reading E100, which is 100 Bible readings, essential 100 Bible readings. And I started also reading Pilgrim's Progress.
Funny story, I actually... I listened to that the other night before I went to bed. Well, I started listening to it and I fell asleep listening to it.
Did you?
Yeah, the audio book.
Did you fall asleep in the Slough Despond? Or
I can't remember.
Okay, that could be quite ironic if you had something once there. But anyway, what happened there was I started reading these books and I started learning about salvation. I started learning about forgiveness, big words I'd never heard of. Well, I'd heard of forgiveness, but I'd never heard it in the same context. And I heard about a God who actually, out of love for me, had came down, died for me, and provided a way that if I believe that I could go to heaven. And I started learning about this God of forgiveness, this God of love. And that was life-changing because that suddenly meant there was hope for me. Because I kind of convinced myself there was a God, that I was deserving of judgment.
So at that point, did it really change your whole thinking? You previously was thinking oh, well, this is all, rubbish in a sense. But did that whole mean you changed then?
So it changed my outlook initially in that I went from this best not be true, but if it is true, I'm done for.
Right.
Because there is no need to tell me I've done wrong things. It changed it from that to actually being down the line of the Bible says there's a way we can have hope, we can have forgiveness, and forgiveness is one of the most it is a beautiful language. It's one of the most beautiful words we can hear. And the forgiveness was a legitimate thing, and I started looking into it. I started reading the Bible. Someone challenged me because at first I thought it'd be a joke book, and they said, there's no hobgoblins in the Bible. Did you know that?
I did know that.
You did know that. There's no hobgoblins in the Bible. It's not Lord of the Rings. It's not C.S. Lewis. It's a factual account. It's a historical account.
It's not fantasy. It is factual.
Yeah, it's 66 books that agree with each other and are found historically accurate time in, time out. And as a result of that, I started looking into the resurrection. Because there's millions of religions all around the world. They offer me life, but the leaders are dead. I had the Roman Catholic priests saying they could give me life, but one day they die. But the Bible says Jesus offers me life. That Jesus promises me life if I believe in him. And that he died and he rose again, so he showed that he could do that. And that's huge if that's true. And I looked into that. I came to the conclusion that that is true. And I remember hearing 2 sermons from a pastor in my church in Toxteth. And he said, he did 2 sermons. The first one was on the broad way and the narrow way. I realised that I wasn't on the narrow way. that I was on the broad way, which is the illustration the Bible uses. Basically, I was going the wrong way with my life. I hadn't actually made a decision for Christ. I wasn't relying on him. I think that's the big thing that was always in my mind. I wasn't relying on him. I was still relying on myself. And on the other side, there was 7 Signs You're a Christian from 1 John. And 1 John goes through it. It's a book written to make us sure of heaven. And it talks about 7 signs that we maybe weren't Christians or aren't Christians. Maybe aren't Christians, sorry. And I was reading through that and I realised that I wasn't a Christian. But I didn't have hope and that I didn't know where I would go. I remember...
So at that point, did you not know where you would go? Or where, based on what you've heard?
Well, I think there's something within us that kind of makes us hope that we get to heaven. But really, I knew that I'd done wrong things. Does that make sense? So I was kind of like, I don't know, but I think I deserve this. And the Bible tells me, actually, I deserve this. But then, yeah. I didn't know in a bad way. I didn't know in a misty way. And as a result, I remember walking down my road forward. I remember walking down it on the way back from church and thinking, if I died tonight, I would go to hell. I remember thinking that. I remember going back up that road the next morning after having begged for forgiveness that night. And this is honest. This is just what I felt. And I mean, I can't say it's in everyone's testimony. It isn't. But this is just me saying what happened to me. I remember walking back up the road thinking, if I got hit by a car today, I would go to heaven. I do remember that. And I remember the reason being that I was not relying on myself. I was relying on a forgiveness given to me by God through what Jesus did, dying on that cross, taking that punishment.
And then you had, from that, could you say you had a confidence in knowing that you would go to heaven?
Yeah, no, I would say that I know that I'm going to heaven. Not because of myself, I don't deserve to, but because of Jesus and what he's done for me. And because he offers that out and I'm relying on that. My confidence is in that, my trust is in that.
Yeah, so I'd say that same thing happened with me after becoming saved. Because previously I used to have doubts and I thought, well, maybe there's a chance that I would go to hell. But now it's like I've got that confidence, and that is just such a great thing about becoming a Christian, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or at least I would say. So, since so I met you, what was it, the beginning of 2013?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was 2012 March that I became Christian, so about a year later we met.
Yeah. So since then, so for people who's listened to the first podcast, I talked about what I'd been doing over the summer, which was beach missions and camps. So we actually met through beach missions, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And so has that been something that, like, since becoming a Christian, what has made you go down that path of going on beach missions and that kind of thing?
Well, so can I answer it with an illustration?
Yeah, go for it.
I was once in a room with a missionary to Liverpool from a Chinese background. He was reaching the Chinese students, and they went round and they said, "What makes you want to reach out to these students?" And they went to 3 people, and the first one turned around and said, "I want to reach out to these Chinese students because I've had a dream and I've had a vision and it had a map and it had a shape on that map and I looked up all the countries in the world and the shape was roughly the same as China, so I decided I'd go. That's not happened to me." The next person turned and they said, "Well, I just enjoy it and I like it and I feel like I want to do it and I feel like I'm good at it and gifted at it." Now, yeah, fair enough. I never thought I was particularly gifted at a lot of these things, particularly in the early days. Really, I never really thought this was something I'd be good at. But people may hold to that. But I remember the third person turned and said to the question of why did you want to reach out to these students? They turned and said, "Because I'm forgiven." And I think that's it. If we are forgiven, if we do have a message of life, a message that brings hope, then surely we'll want to tell it to all the people around us if we really love them. If we really know our message and we love people around them, surely we'd want know the people around us. Surely we'd want to tell them that message. And that's not to say beach missions is the only way to do that, but it is to say that beach missions is well, it
It's
is to
our
say
way
that
of doing it.
it is to say that the gospel message is to go out, and it is. I would say separate to that. The beach missions is one of the ideal ways of doing
It
that
is a great way of
for us
doing it.
or our age. Yeah,
And I would agree with you. And I think
the
obviously
training's unbelievable.
growing up and doing the beach missions has been a blessing to me, and I've learned so much. I'm sure you could say the same.
100%. I would say it's one of the biggest learning curves.
Yeah. So if there is any Christians listening to this who hasn't been on beach missions or even heard of them, I'd definitely look into them and
United
encourage
Beach
us to
Missions.
go. Yeah. So there's a little plug for UBM.
There is a little plug for you guys.
Definitely give it a shout. Yeah, I think that first week when we met each other, we were in completely different like headspaces to where we are now, and
Yeah, I'd agree.
I'd say we were a lot more stupid, young teenagers just messing around a lot. But now we've like, I'm not saying like we've matured into like a nice fine wine or something, but we have definitely.
We've not done that, but we've not gone that far, have we?
No, we've grown up a bit. But
you've got a new hairstyle.
I've had multiple hairstyles since then.
Yeah, that is not a lie.
But yeah, I'm linking this into how we can talk about the EMW camp. But yeah, me and Chris, we've had a laugh and done many weeks together.
And we still do loads of weeks together.
Yeah, like even this year,
even EMW, we've expanded it.
We've expanded to
See
EMW.
the link I did there.
So last year, I just did 8 weeks straight of UBM. Now this year, I did 9 weeks. Some of them were UBM, and there was also an EMW camp, and we did the EMW camp together.
Yeah, we did. We did definitely do that camp together, and it was really good.
We also did 4 of the UBM weeks together, so we did. So out of the 9 weeks, 5 of them I was with you, which is quite impressive considering that wasn't really planned.
Yeah, no,
on either of our parts. So I really enjoyed it. And the EMW camp, we said we'd talk a little bit about that because we got some funny stories on it. So that was. Would you say that? Yeah, well, it's in your testimony, so that's a part of your testimony.
Yeah, no, 100%. Very thankful to the work of the EMW and what they
do. But yeah, so we both went on an EMW camp, kind of.
I think
did we get roped into it? Well,
partially.
I didn't get roped into it as much as you. I wanted to go to.
Yeah. I mean, somebody wanted extra people, and we came. We went, and there was a few funny stories. We had
a lot of funny stories, actually.
Yeah, we did loads of
Let me tell you my funniest story of that week.
Should we do a funniest story competition?
Well, this is mine.
Okay.
Whenever I think of that week, and I'm like, what was the funniest moment? For me, it was right after we did one of the days we did messy games. Where we were doing absolutely crazy things. What were some of the games? We were like throwing spaghetti at each other not each other, at the campers. And throwing like tomato ketchup. We had bottles of that, flour, eggs, all sorts. It was pretty disgusting, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, it could have made a good meal, but no.
Yeah, well, everyone was covered in all this food and disgusting stuff and everything. And at the end of it, I'll make this quick because we've got to go soon anyway. But
we might add on a little bit of the extra afterwards.
Yeah, but we had to go in to have showers, didn't we?
Yeah.
And they had this new building built, so all the showers were like, I don't know, the water pressure wasn't that great. So everyone was having the shower at the same time, and it was trickling out. It was like drops of water, and the taps weren't even working that well. So I figured what you do is you get the bin
This is a good one.
from out the bathroom, put it under the sink, and fill it up with the tap water, and then stand in the shower and pour it over yourself. So that's how I was having my shower, just pouring a bin bucket of water over me.
I remember you just shouting out of the shower, "I'm getting washed in a bin, what is this?" But we are not having to break this. We're just going to play a quick song on pause. Can we do that?
Oh, well, okay, what we'll do is we're going
to play my favourite song.
Basically, what we're doing is killing 2 birds with 1 stone. We're going to record episode 10, but we're going to do it with another friend. He's just outside.
Yeah.
So we'll just pause this video here, and we'll come back to it in a minute.
Are we coming back to episode 9 afterwards?
Yeah, we'll come back to episode 9. Chris
Don't
will
worry,
tell you
guys.
his funny story. Then we'll end it, and then we'll record episode 10 in advance for next week.
Okay.
So,
So this is
enjoy
not
this
the end.
little song right
This
here.
is a song. Ready? Off. Sorry, guys, that was the wrong song.
Yep. Hope you enjoyed that little break. Sorry about that. We have retrieved our friend Daniel. He's going to be on episode 10 next week, so we will record that shortly, and it's probably going to be different to a normal episode. It's probably going to be a long one.
Out of interest, where did you leave Daniel?
Well, he was just outside.
So you've left him outside. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so my story, is it?
So Chris is gonna now tell his story, his funniest, favourite memory, funny story from same camp this year.
I'll go for my funniest one, and it is partly one where you probably had to be there, but it's related to Wes again. It's another story with Wes.
We were both there.
Yeah, and we were both sharing a room, so it probably will have been obviously one which involves us both. But you bought a Michael Jackson mask.
Yeah.
Not just any Michael Jackson mask. A Halloween.
I don't know if it was Halloween.
Michael Jackson mask.
Okay, there might be a bit of story to this, but if you've listened to the first episode, I think it was when I talked about being in Brighton and I bought a fez. Wes and a fez. The same shop I bought this absolutely terrifying Michael Jackson mask.
And if that sounds confusing, imagine the shopkeeper.
No, it is genuinely terrifying. Like, there's nothing nice about it.
No, it's
the only nice thing is how scary it is.
And so we had to put all the kids to make sure.
By the way, I bought this mask with the intention of taking it on the camp to scare some kids.
Yes, and we were in charge of making sure they were all quiet and in their rooms.
Which we tried to do a good job.
We did try. But Wes had the idea that, I think it was more of a...
Well, we got a tip off one of the campers saying, like, look, it's the last night.
Oh, wait, hang on. Before that, though, because, like, you went into the old room, knocked on the door, and then just put the mask on the corner.
Before this story, so what I did was every night I thought, what I'll do is I'll put the mask on. No, we'll tell everyone to go to bed, then I'll put the mask on, and each night we'll go to a different door, knock on the door, and then look inside while I'm wearing the mask to scare the kids in that particular room.
Now, most of these kids are about 16, 17, 18, so they jumped,
they're not children.
But then they were okay.
Yeah.
Now, one was 14, and a young 14 at that. And I just remember that he was a particularly loud individual. And so he was quite disruptive in ways. He was a nice kid, but he was quite loud. And he was always talking at night. I remember you knocked on the door there. He opened the door.
He did scream.
There's a Michael Jackson man outside.
But then nobody caught on that it was me. All week I'd done this to a different dorm each night, and nobody knew it was me.
So effectively, there's this random Michael Jackson running around who nobody knows who they are. And now it's the final night, as Wes was saying. Some of the boys decided they would go down with some of the girls to the lake at night, which obviously is against all our health and safety. So
all of that is general rules, though.
Yeah, general rules with boys and girls as well, and with late trips to the lake. So what we decided to do, we stood in a field.
No, well, we got a tip off one of the campers saying, look, they're going to go down. So we came up with this plan to say, right, good night, boys, keep the noise down. We went into our room, but then we quickly snuck outside.
Yes.
We ran down into the forest.
Now, I brought my coat. Wes brought his mask. And we got into the forest.
I brought my mask. We got into the forest where the main gateway was for them to get out. And we were stood there for probably about 20 minutes, weren't we?
Yeah.
And then eventually, these campers all came running down thinking they were all sneaky. And I kind of just jumped out and surprised them. All of them, most of them screamed, quite scared. And they all went back to bed.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like part of it was the funny part was seeing their faces because particularly as I'd gone and got the first
Yeah.
group, brought them back. I was bringing them back through the woods. They're all thinking we're in so much trouble, so much trouble, and then they're getting a lot more trouble because suddenly Michael Jackson just walks out of the trees.
I more or less jumped out.
You
But
both jumped out, yeah, and yeah, there was some squeals from back there,
yeah,
and
there was.
I don't think they'll be doing that again on another camp as a
I
result.
doubt it. If we're there, they're definitely not.
No, definitely
Can't get away with it. Don't. The moral of the story: if you were a camper on that week and you're listening, don't mess with us.
Yeah.
Don't even mess with us in general. We'll have you.
Yeah. And if the SAS are listening, I mean, these are your prime recruits right here.
Yeah,
obviously,
definitely.
We can creep up on a group of 16 to 18-year-old campers who are escaping to the lake.
Definitely. But yeah, that was a great week. I enjoyed it very much. We got a load of funny stories, so maybe this is probably getting on a bit too long now.
One other thing, we've started learning a new language. Could you help us learn it? Could you explore this new language with us quickly?
What?
It's a new language we learn in Oxford.
The new
Would you like to
language?
learn some new language?
Oh, so
like
you're
an English-
learning a new language?
Yeah,
in
would you like
Oxford?
to learn some?
Go on then.
Okay, Austrian. Do you know much about Austria?
No,
Okay, what do you know about language Austrian?
don't know.
Okay, well, ask for a phrase and we'll see whether you can learn a phrase. What phrases would you like to learn? You're going to Austria tomorrow. What phrases?
They don't speak English, do they?
No, we speak Austrian. If we spoke English, you'd be all right.
I want to say, where's the toilet?
Where's the toilet? Okay. Non ton.
Is this a joke?
Yeah.
What's the joke?
Well, Austria doesn't have a language. Anyway, okay, that one fell flat.
Yeah, so what's Austria's language? What is it?
German.
German.
Yeah. Right, okay. Sorry, the joke is normally that it keeps going and then you get around to getting them to say, I'm a silly person, but you break it up so they don't realise. But that failed.
Yeah.
You got me there, Wes, I've got to be honest. Anyway.
Sorry. But yeah, we're going to end this now. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Maybe one day we can get Chris on here again. And, like I said, I want to go down a Christian path with this, and you've shared your testimony. But maybe next time you're on, we can just talk more about the funny stories that we've had.
Yeah, maybe we could do a Christian one in episode 10, though.
Yeah, we'll definitely... No, actually, that is a plan. Episode 10 is going to be very different to the rest of these episodes, because...
Do you know George WezLife by episode 10?
Yeah, so there's going to be 3 of us, me, Chris, and a guy called Daniel Friary, and we're going to be talking a lot on a certain topic that might be a little bit controversial. So yeah, don't be taken back if the episode goes on like, I don't know, it could easily go on for an hour. Like we could talk about it.
It could go on for an hour and 18 minutes, I think.
But yeah, don't be taken back by it, and
hopefully it will only take 20 minutes though.
No, it definitely will. But yeah, that'll be episode 10, and maybe we'll just do these like controversial debates every 10 episodes, just to spice things up. That might work. Like episode 20, we bring another one back.
Oh, well, what if we have a double this weekend?
We're not going to have 2 in a row. It'll be too much, that. But no worries, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you again, Chris, for coming on. Is there any kind of wise words you would like to leave viewers with? Because I do like to try and leave some kind of little bit of wisdom for them. Have you got anything?
Have I got any wise words?
It can be anything. Could be completely stupid.
Give me a topic.
Just anything. Like, it doesn't have to be actually, very wise.
I think a bit of wise words would be read your Bible and say your prayers. Say your prayers.
Wait. And I would say that is very good wise words. But I'd also say if you are going away on a camp, maybe an EMW camp, just be respectful of the officers or the leaders. Just listen to them, because you'll have more fun that way and you won't get into trouble. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, guys, and goodbye.
Bye. Ta-ra.